I was lying on the cold bathroom floor, but I couldn't breathe because of my broken ribs. Through the door, I heard my mother whisper, "Stay quiet, don't ruin his future." That was when I knew I didn't have a real family, but I had people who would watch me suffer until it was convenient for them. But my doctor saw the truth and she wasn't going to stay quiet. Before we start, hit subscribe and tell me where you're watching from tonight. If someone ever told you to stay quiet while you were hurting, this story is for you. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, but get ready for a story about what happens when one person refuses to stay silent. Sometimes, the best revenge is just telling the truth. My name is Emma Parker. I'm 26 years old and I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I work as a first-grade teacher, but that's not what this story is about. This story is about how I was always the good daughter, the one who followed rules and cleaned up everyone's messes. But it never mattered until the night my younger brother lost control. I thought if I was good enough and quiet enough, my family would love me, but I was wrong, and it took broken ribs for me to see the truth. Our whole family lived for my brother Kevin. He was 23, a baseball player with big dreams, but he also had a temper that could explode like a bomb. My parents, Linda and Tom Parker, saw him as their golden boy. They gave him everything: money, attention, love. Everything he did was perfect, but everything he broke was always someone else's fault. I moved back home 6 months earlier when my apartment lease ended. I told myself it was to save money, but really, I was still hoping my family would finally see me. What a stupid dream that was. The house wasn't a home. It was like a museum for Kevin's achievements. His trophies were everywhere. His special protein drinks filled the fridge, but I ate whatever was left. Dad talked about his games at dinner. Mom worried about his training. I was just the person who did the dishes and laundry. I saw the warning signs, but I said nothing. I saw how Kevin's bad moods made everyone scared. I saw the holes in his bedroom wall that my parents called accidents. I saw how his girlfriend looked terrified until she stopped coming around. I saw everything, but I stayed quiet. In my family, staying quiet meant you were loyal. Speaking up meant you were a traitor. And I wanted to be a good daughter. The night it happened was a Tuesday. Kevin had a big game with college scouts watching, but his team lost badly. He came home hours later smelling like beer, his face dark with anger. I was in the kitchen washing dishes, trying to stay out of his way. "Where are you looking at me?" he snapped, throwing his bag on the floor. "I'm not looking, Kevin, just doing dishes," I said softly. He opened the fridge, grabbed a beer, but slammed it so hard everything inside shook. "This whole season sucks. The coach is an idiot. I tried to help. I tried to be nice. It was just one game, but you'll do better next time." I even smiled a little. It's not the end of the world. That small comment lit a fire in his eyes. They went completely black, but his voice got scary quiet. "What did you say?" he whispered. "Nothing, I didn't mean..." But I never finished my sentence. He moved so fast I couldn't react. His big hands grabbed my shirt, but his knuckles pressed into my neck. He was so much bigger and stronger than me. He dragged me across the kitchen until he slammed me into the sharp corner of the counter. All the air left my lungs, but a burning pain shot through my side. I fell to the cold floor, but my vision went dark. I remembered the taste of blood, but I couldn't breathe. Then he kicked me. He pulled his leg back and kicked me hard right where I hit the counter. I heard a terrible crack, but I felt it in my bones. Then everything went black. When I woke up, pain was everywhere, but I could barely breathe. I was still on the kitchen floor. My mother was next to me, but she wasn't looking at my face. She was watching the door, listening for my father. "Emma," she hissed, "Dad's coming downstairs, but you need to get up right now." I couldn't move, but I whispered, "I can't breathe." Her eyes met mine, but there was no love there. Only fear. Fear for him, not me. "Listen," she said quietly. You slipped on water and fell into the counter. That's what happened. Kevin has scouts coming next week, but this could ruin everything for him. He almost killed me, but she was worried about his baseball career. I crawled to the small bathroom down the hall, but every inch hurt. I locked the door and collapsed. Through the door I could hear them talking. Dad's deep voice, Mom's worried whispers, but Kevin went upstairs to his room like nothing happened. He broke my ribs, but then he just went to sleep. That's when I heard my mother clearly through the door. "Keep quiet, Emma. Don't ruin his future." The next morning, pain lived inside my chest like a monster. I couldn't stand straight, but I couldn't breathe deeply. My father looked at me with cold eyes. "No, are you okay? No, what happened? Just get in the car. I'm taking you to the doctor." He drove without looking at me, but his jaw was tight. "You fell down the stairs," he said. It wasn't a question, it was an order. "That's what you tell them. Your mother is upset about this, but Kevin feels terrible. We don't need problems right now. Promise me, Emma." I was so beaten down, so used to obeying, but I just nodded. What was one more lie? At the clinic, the bright lights made my headache worse. A nurse asked what happened, but I said what my father told me to say. I fell down the stairs. The words felt like poison, but they came out anyway. Then Dr. Sarah Chen walked in. She had kind eyes and a calm way that made me feel safer. She looked at my chart, but then she looked at me with real concern. She gently touched my side, but I couldn't stop myself from crying out in pain. "I need to get x-rays," she said softly. "But first, I want you to tell me the truth." She leaned closer, but her voice got quiet. "Emma, your bruises don't look like you fell downstairs. Did someone hurt you?" My world stopped. My father was in the waiting room, probably checking his watch. My family had looked at me my whole life, but they never really saw me. They saw a quiet daughter, a helpful person, but a problem to manage. But this doctor, this stranger, was looking at me like I mattered. Tears started falling, but I didn't know I was crying. The wall inside me started breaking. "I can't," I whispered, thinking about Dad's anger and Mom's begging. Dr. Chen didn't push, but she nodded. "Okay, let's get those x-rays." When she came back, she put the films on the light board. I could see dark lines through the white shadows of my bones. "You have 2 broken ribs and 1 cracked rib," she said gently. "This kind of injury needs a lot of force. Someone hit you hard." She took pictures of my bruises with a camera, but then she looked at me again. "I'm asking one more time, Emma. I'm a mandated reporter. That means if I think someone hurt you, I have to report it. Did someone do this to you?" Time stopped. It was me against my whole family, a lifetime of being quiet against this one chance to be heard. I looked at the x-ray of my broken bones, proof of what he did. I looked at this doctor who wanted to protect me when my own parents wouldn't. In the smallest voice, I told the truth. My brother. The words hung in the air, but they felt huge. I started crying and begging her not to call anyone. "Please don't. You don't understand. It will destroy my family, but it will ruin his career." "His career?" Dr. Chen said firmly but kindly. "Emma, he broke your ribs. What about your life?" "I can't ignore this, but my job is to protect you." Just like that, the choice was gone. She made the call. She called Child Protection Services because I lived where it happened, but they called the police? When Dad drove me home, everything had changed. A police car sat in our driveway. Kevin was being questioned at the police station. The moment I walked in, my family turned on me completely. My mother looked at me with hate. "What did you do?" she screamed. My father grabbed my arm hard. "I told you to keep quiet," he said through his teeth. "You just destroyed your brother's future. But I hope you're happy." But I wasn't listening anymore. The fear and guilt were finally going away. While they yelled and worried about protecting their violent son, I walked past them. I went to my room, got my suitcase, but started packing my clothes. I didn't have a plan, but I knew I couldn't stay there anymore. The first few weeks were hard, but Dr. Chen helped me. She gave me phone numbers for women's shelters. They didn't have space in their main building, but they helped me find a tiny apartment across town. It was small and empty, but it was safe. It was mine. The first thing I did was get a restraining order against Kevin. Standing in the courthouse with shaking hands was the hardest thing I'd ever done, but also the most freeing. My family didn't stop calling. They tried everything: guilt, anger, threats. But even fake apologies from Kevin. I blocked all their numbers. Dr. Chen helped me find a free lawyer named Maria who helped victims of abuse. Maria helped me sue Kevin for my hospital bills, but also for the emotional damage. The lawsuit and police report got back to his baseball team. His scholarship was canceled until the investigation ended. His perfect future suddenly looked very dark. I started therapy. I talked about everything: the broken ribs, but also all the small hurts from years of being ignored, the feeling of being invisible, but the deep pain of being unloved by people who were supposed to protect me. Slowly, I started healing. I put up pictures in my apartment, but I bought a small plant. I started sleeping through the night without nightmares. Months later, I saw a notice for community grants. It was for new programs to help kids in trouble. An idea came to me, an idea born from my own pain. I wrote a proposal for an after-school program for young girls from bad homes, a safe place where they could talk, but where they could learn their voices mattered. I got the grant. I called the program Speak Your Truth. The final moment came about a year after Kevin hurt me. My program was doing well, but we were having a small fundraising event at the local library. I was at the front of the room talking about our mission, but suddenly, the back doors flew open. It was Kevin. He looked terrible, skinny, unshaven, desperate. He hadn't gotten a new scholarship, but the lawsuit had cost him everything. But his eyes still had that same angry look from that night. "You," he yelled, pointing at me, "you ruined everything, all because of one stupid accident." The room went completely quiet. My heart pounded against the ribs he had broken. The old Emma would have hidden, but she would have wanted to disappear. But I wasn't the old Emma anymore. I put down my notes calmly, but walked to the center of the room where everyone could see me. I stood in the silence and looked right at him. Then I turned to face the crowd, the supporters, parents, but the young girls my program was helping. My voice was clear and strong. "This," I said, pointing at Kevin, "is the man who broke my ribs." I let everyone think about that, but then I said the final truth. And this is the family who told me to stay quiet about it. The silence that followed was more powerful than any screaming, but more damaging than any court decision. In that silence, everyone understood everything. Security guards quietly walked Kevin out of the building. I never saw him again. I never went back to my family, but I never asked for sorry either. I didn't need it. Kevin's life wasn't ruined by me. It was ruined by his own violent actions. My parents didn't lose a daughter, but they threw one away years ago. I found peace not in revenge, but in telling the truth. I didn't need their love to be happy, but I had my voice, my work, and my new life. For the first time ever, that was enough. If someone ever told you to stay quiet when you were hurt, but if you were made small so someone else could feel big, this story is for you. You deserve to be seen and protected, but most of all, you deserve to be heard. Don't let anyone silence your truth, but remember your voice matters more than their comfort. If this story touched you, hit that like button, subscribe for more stories about finding strength, but leave a comment sharing your own experience. Together, we can make sure no one suffers in silence.